Woodstock Roots TV. We have over Rusty Asheber, a very talented musician local to Woodstock. My pleasure to share a meal and some time to visit each other.
Sure.
Glad to have you here, brother. It's psychological.
Charges your battery.
We need the sun, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my mom and dad lived in Florida, in Orlando. I still have kids in Florida, but we used to go every winter. Yeah, right after Christmas, we spend it with my ladies, folks in Long Island, and then we'd ride to Florida and stay all the way till my father's birthday, April. And we'd be there from end of December till April. We used to play music down there, and on the university campuses, my lady made wares and things like that, clothes and stuff like that. It was one time for many years. I never wore anything from a store, especially in performance. She'd make all the.
That's your wife who did it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was everything on the Rusty for the brand? It was called Rusty Asheber, or it was called Rusty?
Rusty Asheber, yeah. And our group was called One Word at first. One Word, and that started up because I kept saying, we want to name the group just one word. One word, one word, not like a sentence, not the nothing, just one word, like that.
And
And somebody said, "That's it." I said,
One
"What do you
word.
mean, one word?"
Not one world, but one word.
One word, yeah. But I was looking for a single word to describe the music, you know, and it turned out to be one word, you know, and then
And that was established here in Woodstock?
yeah,
So you have many years already of music in Woodstock.
40 some odd years.
And how would you say that the changes here that are happening now?
Terrible. Town is turning into like most places though. And it's not just Woodstock, but most places have turntails and like it's almost a paradox, you know. But when I moved to Woodstock, it's the most swinging small town in all of America, I think, because I visit all over the place and Europe and stuff like that. But I was just hooked immediately. Like, wow.
And this was late 80s.
No, early 80s.
You caught the glory years. Who was the top musicians at that time? Like local musicians here?
Oh, there was so many people. Robbie Dupree, John Sebastian was still,
Where did you get to appear with the Wailers?
Chance in Barlow, Chance twice, Joyce Lake once, and the old Barlow, yeah. And the other time was that either Joyce Lake or the Chance, but I'm not sure. But it's a place Chance a lot. In Poughkeepsie, they closed down now. I think they're gonna reopen though. It's not here. It was a real nice room, good sounding. I have a little history with Pete Seeger too, cause when I came to America first, I started doing music here. I'm doing rock and funk rock and stuff like that. Never did reggae. Didn't necessarily like reggae. I liked the Wailer music, so we called it Wailer music. Was always related to like we put Jimmy Cliff and people like that. Anybody who's doing
Wailers.
the cry of the people. You know what I mean? Because when we said the Wailers, that's why Wailers gave their name themselves, because they were sounding out on the people's behalf, you know? Because at the time with Waylon Jennings, Americana or bluegrass musician, who was Waylon Jennings and the Wailers. And then Bob and them had a little thing about that, and then they had to give up because Bob Owen was predate them. Although it wasn't as registered as that, but time gave them you know,
Time and success.
yeah. So, but I used to do that. But I used to like jazz fusion, and I just did music. The first group I was in was a group called Wild Horses, and they used to cover um, Rolling Stones and stuff like that. And then the next project was Jimson, and they were doing just regular popular music, you know. It's hits the spot, yeah.
In Russian, we say when somebody, like when we give somebody food, and then we say back to them like "na zdоровье," like to your health.
Oh yeah.
Instead of saying like welcome, we say like "na zdоровье."
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I'll take it over here. What was part of like your roots culture growing up? Like,
Yeah, I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. The Rock, Jam Rock. You know what I mean? The hustle and bustle and the fast little town. That's as fast as New York City, maybe faster. Slippery too, you know. But I grew up in Kingston, yeah. Rose Town, which is wait, for want of a better word, the nicer part of Trenchtown. It's across Central Avenue. Trenchtown is on the side with the government yard and the dirt floors, and then Rosetown is like family yards, you know. Same poverty, but a little bit more, you know.
did the people in the neighborhoods like that, did they have were they friends with the people that was in nature? You know, like.
Oh yeah. Well, they were just the forgotten people. The people in Trenchtown were the forgotten people, the untouchables. Like people who came from the country part and came to town, as we call Kingston, town. When they come to Kingston, they're totally discombobulated and stuff like that. So the easiest place to go to is Trenchtown because that's where the roots is. And where you go, you're gonna be looked on and scoffed at and stuff like that. But if they just wandered into Trenchtown, they'd be greeted because the sameness of, you know, yeah. So Trenchtown is a very important part of. Like Bob came from the country.
Bob,
Yeah.
up until how old was he?
I think he came to town when he was probably 12, 13, 14 or something like that, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Or maybe before, I don't know, but like that's when they established their thing in Trenchtown. But Bob was always like driven, very talented person, driven, head full of songs, you know? Yeah.
When you're in nature and you're barefoot and
Yeah.
you're by the river or by the waterfalls.
Yeah. Plus, he was kind of a seer. He was some kind of a, like, you know, when I say seer, I mean somebody who could feel spirits around him and stuff like that. Very in tune and stuff like that.
And how old were you at that time?
I probably was, well, young, very young, very young, very young. I left Jamaica first when I was like 15.
Okay.
And then I kept going back. But like, yeah, I
No, but 15 is enough where you have already formulated.
finished high
Most
school
of
by
your
then. Because in
character.
Jamaica you can go to high school.
Cause you
I went
get,
to high school when I was 9 and a half. Not even 10 yet, you know? I would be 10
that's crazy.
in February, but I went during the fall semester, you know, to high school. Because I had a grandfather who, I passed the entrance for all the high schools. When I was going to school in Jamaica, no free school. Elementary school is free, but if you want to go to, they call it college, but it's really high school from the English system. You had to either pass a scholarship, you had to wait till you're 11 to take that scholarship. So I went and passed all the scholarships when I was 9 and a half. So I went to the one that was right in the heart of the ghetto where the blackest of the people were. You know what I mean? Because the other one were a little uptown and up-nose-ish and stuff like that. So I went to Kingston College, KC.
And this is in like, okay, so you
Right
took
in the
it
heart of Kingston.
1960s, right?
Yeah.
19 Wow. So and in that era alone, I think many powerful musicians came out of probably around from the same area.
If I say Jacket Mitu, you know who that is?
This is like a ska or
Yeah.
yeah.
He was in our choir, our school choir.
Wow.
He was the organ player in our school choir. We had a boys choir, and we came third in the world one time. I
Wow.
remember that boys choir. paragons, you know who them is? Like John Holt and Howard Barrett and them guys. They were in that choir too. A lot of people came with that choir. Dobby Dobson. A lot of famous people came into that choir because
Yeah.
that was a good boys choir. We used to record things and they have sent it and we compete against the rest of the world. We always got beat by the Mexican boys choir, the Vienna boys choir, the New Jersey boys choir. Those were great, and Mexican boys choir. Those were the great choirs worldwide. And then Harlem boys choir. Yeah, and then we got in there and got a bronze medal one time. You know.
That's
Yeah,
good stuff.
very-
Respect. You know, that's that one thing that so many powerful musicians coming from such an isolated area. So
Yeah.
that struggle.
The struggle is what triggered that. Yeah, the constant looking out over your shoulder and the suffering. You know. You know who Scatolites are too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's a place called the Alpha Boys School. It's like school for underprivileged people who have talent but don't have the means to take it further. And it was run by the Catholics and a famous nun. I don't remember her name or anything like that. But most of the great older musicians came out of there. Most of the Scatolites people. This is Johnny, who was a very good friend of mine. Don Drummer and Roland Alfonso, the whole of these guys. They were in that place learning their craft.
And these are all people that influence you,
Oh
Bob,
yeah,
Peter,
oh yeah.
Jimmy, right? All the
yeah.
other people that
Oh yeah,
came.
oh yeah. Yeah, Alpha Boy School is like paramount in all the older Jamaican musicians. They all touched there. They came with that. It's where they were directed. You know, they had the aptitude, but somebody directed them. This lady and her troop, this nun and her troop, looked out for them and gave them all the angles. Brought in like professional from outside to train them, and
Wow.
most of these guys read music fluently too and stuff like that, which was a great thing at the time. You know.
You said you had a mutual friend with Bob.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Skill. Alan Cole.
Alan-
Skill. Yeah.
Alan Cole,
Skill.
yeah.
Great soccer player. Or probably our most. We played on the same Colts 11 team too. Like.
You would get down in soccer too?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Respect.
We beat the Manning Cup team the year when I was playing. Manning Cup is the guys who represent the whole school. We were the young kids, the Colts 11.
Wow.
You had to be under 12. And we were whooping butts. Bob was a great soccer player too.
So you called all these guys at this age. You guys are chilling. How are you like listening to the new music coming out? There's no Walkmans, right? There's
No Walkmans. And most of the stuff did not play on the radio. They were too local. Our radio stations were very sophisticated. We heard music from all over the world.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Really sophisticated. Most of our music came from Miami, New Orleans, and New York. As far as our radio station, our top 40 and all that stuff. But like Al Di La, which was it's straight Italian, was number one on our station. Sukiyaki, which was in Japanese, was number one no matter what. World, it was a very diverse listening. We got some real good listening
So the
stuff.
radios,
The radio was really
records,
good.
It wasn't on the.
No, radio stations
you
were.
didn't have
And we only had 2 radio stations. RJR, which was the Jamaican radio station, and then JBC, which was like almost a pirated radio station, where you hear more roots thing on that. But RJR, the Jamaican radio station, would not play local people. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. When Bob released his second album, they wouldn't play it on the radio. And the man Skill and this guy that they went up there and literally stick up the radio station and said, play this. You get? And they played it. And by the time the police come, feel like, what's going on? They were out of there and people started calling in like, hey, we want to hear more. And that's how it started. When Bobby in the next song, he was say, this is a stick up. You know, it means a takeover. He went there and said, I want y'all to play this.
That's crazy.
And held the radio station hostage till they played it, and then they booked out of there. Great stuff.
Wow.
You know, but that's how Bob was driven, you know. And this was even after Wailers broke up. But like, Wailers didn't get played on the radio. Maybe we had the dance hall and the big box and the Coxsons and Sir Coxsons and Duke Duke Reed, and a lot of sound system, but big sound system with stacks like size of a minivan. You know what I mean?
So this is records or
Records playing, but in the streets.
Okay, okay.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm trying to picture it. Because y'all would
Friday,
have to,
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
you would have to gather
You
together.
have to gather in the
and
streets
listen to
to the music and like it's like street dances. You know what I mean?
And that's where now it makes sense with Curtis Mayfield. Because I was thinking, how did Curtis Mayfield like?
Influence? Oh yeah, because
know.
of the radio station, the legal radio stations that used to play it. Impression Circuit, all of the harmonies in Jamaica. Curtis have a responsibility for that. You know what I mean? Curtis Mayfield and the Imperials, and the impressions, like Wailers, Techniques, you name it, any group that laid down the flow chart for
What did he say? Do you remember? Uneducated fools and
educated schools, yeah, stuff like that. But Curtis was so influential in Jamaican go lyrically, substantially, because like Curtis made music with substance. He was more relevant than everybody else. Then Stevie Wonder joined the fold, and people like Marvin Gaye joined the fold, and of course, great Motown. When they came to America first, the music was awful. Folk music. It was dreary and pathetic, and then Motown just took over, and life effervesced. You know what I mean? It was really good.
Curtis was definitely, I feel like, the first.
Yeah,
like
international star that was so socially,
like street,
yes, socially
this
aware.
roughness,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So make sure.
Keep on pushing. Stand up for your rights.